So, where do you think technology is going with things like AI?
It's not that bad, surely. I mean, Dr. Google didn't put real doctors out of work.
Yeah, but it's not just Chat GP anymore, it's Chat GPT.
What does the T stand for again?
I think it was...
Take your jobs.
Yeah, I'm not taking any chances.
Hello and welcome to a fresh new season of The Struggle. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese became emotional last week when announcing the wording of the question to be put to Australians via referendum to allow an Indigenous voice to Parliament.
This is a modest request. I say to Australia, don't miss it. Don't miss it.
While the speech itself was met with an outpouring of heartfelt responses, the PM's tears follow in Australia's tradition of emotionally charged leadership. In recent years, Julia Gillard choked up when launching disability care funding.
It will be launches, not trials. Permanent care, not temporary help.
Scott Morrison wept in church after being deposed last election.
Even if the flock disappears from the fold and there are no cattle in the stalls.
And Tony Abbott tried his best to shed a tear by eating an onion. But ultimately, we cried when he donned the budgies. Anyway, with King Charles's coronation just over a month away, we've engaged the services of our very own royal correspondent to spill the tea. So let's now cross to Princess Anne.
Thank you for that kind introduction. No need to stand. I have a lot to discuss. Without Mummy around anymore to share my disappointment, I'm rather desperate to get a few things off my chest about the beastly mess my family is just set upon making. It's very hard to keep a stiff upper lip when you want to give someone a fat one. You know about whom I speak. And it's been radio silence from my charming young relatives Harry and Meghan since we sent out their coronation invites. It's rather unnerving. I mean, normally I can't go a single day without seeing another interview, podcast, TV special, book, and God knows what else of theirs. I mean, I do love my nephew, but I won't even start on that sordid book of his. Firstly, I hardly cracked a mention, but apart from that, don't think I'm boring. Believe me, I've had my fun, but was anyone really impressed by him being spanked in a field behind a busy pub? I'd get into a bit more than that, but I've got something else up my sleeve apart from adventurousness. I have discretion. He couldn't even spell it. I know because I asked him. M-O-N-E-Y, he replied. So much for that Eton education. And the title of the book, The Spare. Really, Harry, you're fifth in line, try being 16th. God, if only I was born first, we certainly wouldn't be here talking about Harry's frostbitten penis, that's for sure. And you know what I insist on? Manners. Where are Harry and Meghan's manners? Don't Americans believe in a simple, polite RSVP? They've got every news site in the country asking, will they, won't they? It's not a bloody Netflix special. Well, not unless The Crown gets renewed for another season. Speaking of the arts, when will my brother take the hint that no one wants to perform at his coronation? It's getting embarrassing. I mean, turned down by Adele and Elton John first, and then Harry Styles. I will admit, even I was a little upset about that one. Now there's a Harry I'd love to have as the spare. He looks very good in all the regal dress-ups, like the capes and crowns and jewels. Oh, at this rate, it's going to be a very boring affair. Although for Charles, I guess a boring affair is better than an extramarital one. Probably enough said on that. Tally-ho, Wren.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. Well, let's now turn our attention to geopolitics with our reporter, Infi.
I've caught wind of a steamy international affair simmering between Russian leader Vladimir Putin and China's President Xi Jinping, who had a cheeky little rendezvous in Moscow last week. One person traveling the world to meet up with another. How romantic. First, we found out Xi has a thing for bad boys, arriving in Russia just 3 days after an arrest warrant was issued for Putin by the International Criminal Court for alleged war crimes. What can I say? Some people are just attracted to big prick energy. Then, as the dalliance progressed, Putin invited Xi over for dinner, with the pair cozying up over a 7-course banquet and sharing secrets and talks that last 4.5 hours. That's one pretty serious D&M. But to clarify any mixed signals, Putin went public and announced that Xi was just a good old friend, confirming the two status as BFFs rather than FWBs. No matter how it ends, all affairs are fair in love and war.
Love the subtext there, Imphy. Just hope the rest of the globe doesn't end up rooted. Now let's get the latest in pop culture with none other than our fashion nun.
Hi sisters. Recently, I've been thinking about the 10 Commandments and the heretic behaviour this has caused among the youths of today. As a devout follower, I think it's best not to worship false gods, no matter how many bangers they may release. Miss Swift's most recent act of savagery began in Arizona with the beginning of her Eras tour. The outfits, the sold-out crowds, and the 4.7 million watching at home had me gasping and clutching my chest. Custom Oscar de la Renta? In my place of worship? The way Swift and her fans behaved at this concert is sacrilegious. The Bible says not to wear garments of mixed fabrics. But tinsel and leather? Please, if you're going to sin, at least make it worth your while. Whilst I can understand her fans being on a budget after the Ticketmaster fiasco, Taylor's net profit from these sales surely should allow for her custom Robert Cavalli bodysuits to have the other leg done. If you commit the ultimate act of heresy and decide to get married at this Wiccan cult, for the love of our Father above, do not wear a cocktail dress as your wedding gown. I was most disappointed when I thought the show was finally making a change for the better when she covered up her supermodel body with a custom Versace blazer. Finally, some God-honouring fashion. Only for her to take it off after a single song and go back to the bodysuit the Versace atelier spent over 325 hours working on. Heavens above, I am simply shocked at how Miss Swift and her fans behave. What happened to the old Taylor, talking about praying to God to play their song, or cherishing holy grounds? The old Taylor? She's dead? I think I've seen this thing before.
Fashion resurrected. Well, we're off to a quick break. Oh, good, you're still here. Well, we're not even a quarter of the way into the year and Australians have already lost nearly $100 million in scams. Of course, when it comes to fraud, no one scam fits all, with some of the most popular ones including dodgy investment scams, too good to be true romance scams, and even the classic Nigerian prince scam. But surely no one in this day and age would fall for such a trap and willingly give their money away to a prince. Oh, well, there's a new scam on the block using AI to clone and imitate the voices of family members to make scam phone calls seem a little bit more legitimate. And people are being swindled. Sorry, just a sec. Hello, it's Ren. Hi, Ren. It's Ren. Look, I'm in a spot of bother. Could you please lend me some money? I gave some to you last week. Anyway, let's change track to a slightly more optimistic note with our bringer of joy, Thursday Eve.
A desolate town in Western Victoria has enjoyed a delightful plague of minion artwork this week. Sculptures in work of these creatures have amassed, bringing joy to the victims of this 70-person town. I personally prefer my mansion covered in gargoyles, but I suppose everyone's different. While I despise the onslaught of these colourful demons, if I were to have any minions stand guard against the villagers, it would be Kevin. I think he's really cool and dynamic, and I personally really relate to that.
Good vibes only. Well, moving on, and various companies in Australia are currently participating in a 4-day workweek trial following great success in the UK. Now, for more on the implications of a 4-day working week, let's cross to our productivity correspondent. Seems legit. Anyway, let's dim the lighting and draw back the curtain as we head over to our culture critic.
Thank you, Ren. A local movie premiered last week with hometown investment, worryingly. I speak, of course, of neo-Nazis on Spring Street. The scene is set in our little town of Melbourne with the anti-trans protest being front and centre. This performance was about people protesting the existence of transgender people, even though they already exist. Existential, right? But don't worry, there's a twist coming. Since neo-Nazis find it so hard these days to get the recognition they so crave, they crashed the plotline, taking over the narrative of the anti-trans protest.
These 30 men with Nazi overtones may say it's their finest hour, but honestly, their performance could have been better. Costumed in head to toe in black and faces covered by balaclavas, even Adam Sandler could have styled them better. You'd think, given this was their close-up, they would have wanted their faces to at least be seen. How else are we going to know who auditioned for Knuckleheads of the Year? In fact, the only flesh scene were their hands raised high to the sky. One might think this was all a ruse to promote themselves for hand modelling, but that's not all. There were some special cameos. Our very own Liberal MP Maura Deeming made an appearance on stage right alongside the show stealers, and also alongside the anti-trans protesters. In Shakespearean terms, there's always room for a fool. Anyway, Liberal opposition leader John Pesciuto didn't like that she got all this glorious attention and said he wanted to drop her from his cast party. Talk about drama in the White House. This anti-trans protest turned neo-Nazi frenzy is a performance that's not worth the trip to the cinema or even the popcorn.
Sage words. Well, over to New South Wales now, which held its state election over the weekend. Dominic Perrottet's campaign was marred early on by his own admission he dressed up in a Nazi uniform at his 21st birthday, and the Liberal leader was unable to hold on to the role of Premier, as he was defeated by Labor's Chris Minns. While Dom seemed to attract some followers, unfortunately for him, they just weren't in the right state. Speaking of right-wing nationalism, let's check in on a certain former leader of the free world with our corporate wellness correspondent.
Thank you, Ren, for inviting me into your, hopefully, cleansed space today. I was actually doing my daily internet deep dive last night, even though there wasn't much I could look at since I'm banned on 97 websites, 98 if you count the dark web, and was thrilled to see that former US President Donald Trump declared he would be arrested last week. I did see this on ABC News, and although I can't speak on its reliability, validity or accuracy, it is nice to see such an influential figure tapping into his psychic abilities, even if they're wrong. Elon Musk obviously believes in the higher self too, taking to Twitter to say that Trump's indictment would result in him being re-elected in a landslide victory. More manifestation on Musk's behalf. Shame it didn't happen. Maybe Elon should take a quick break from indulging his mate's psychic tendencies and go back to posting millennial memes and cringeworthy photos on his primarily text-based platform. You'd think as the CEO you would be in tune with your own app. Trump actually asked his supporters to come together and protest against his arrest by tweeting, "Protest, take back our nation." To get a better result next time, maybe he should ask his followers to hold their sage crystals in one hand and manifest away any negative thoughts, intrusive patterns, and just will a more successful arrest for making hush money payments to porn stars. And Elon, please unban me from Twitter. COVID is pretty much just as cancelled as me, so I really have no more anti-COVID propaganda to spread. Please.
What do you think? Will the struggle be the 99th site she's banned from?
I hope not. She's got that cute hat.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks for that, I guess. We're off to a short break. Welcome back. Now, have you ever wondered what you get when a multi-billionaire pays the wage of an impressionable journalist? Well, Foxy Sky is your answer.
Do as I say, not as I do. It's the way politicians should be living their lives. Only the most powerful and respected politicians live by this mantra. You may have heard recently that Dominic Perrottet, the former leader of the New South Wales State Liberal Party, admitted that he sometimes likes to vape. Some wokes have been saying this is hypocritical. But let me ask you, where have we ever gotten without a little bit of hypocrisy? Take Boris Johnson, for instance. People say it was hypocritical of him to have a gathering on Downing Street after just announcing a harsh lockdown. But if you look at the facts, it was actually a highly beneficial event. Sky News researchers have found that politicians more than anyone at that time needed a social outlet. It's probably why his government is so strong and cohesive to this day. Perhaps if Daniel Andrews had been a bit more like Boris Johnson and treated his staffers to a party on grand final day, for example, we'd respect him. As if. So I can't see why Dominic wouldn't think twice about going against his own rules. You may have heard that he put in some of the strictest laws around vaping in the country, but he's just one of us at the end of the day. I mean, who among us is devoted to their job all the time? I'm sure every now and then a dentist, for example, has a day off flossing. Why would this be different? Dominic has the right to inhale a little.
Are you a vapor, Premier?
Have the occasional one.
Yeah. What's your flavour?
Mixed fruit.
Back to you, Ren. Mixed fruit. It's not even a fucking flavour.
An inspiring example to all us wannabe news anchors. Now, with the economy at the moment being stuffed, we've got Barry Martin to dish out some timely financial guidance.
Thanks, hon. The government once again revealed they're completely out of touch, announcing $368 billion for nuclear submarines. That's billion with a B, unlike the pathetic $500 million Dad's super. Now you might not know this, but $368 billion, that's a lot of money. And money? Well, money is for investing. None of that goods and services nonsense that most people waste it on. I got a B+ in year 11 business management at Brighton Grammar School, so I know my shit. Now nuclear submarines are cool and all, but I can think of a few way better investments for that $368 bill. For starters, that money could go to stage 4, 5, 6 tax cuts. We can invest in 8.4 Twitters. With Elon at the helm, we're guaranteed a good return. I mean, that man's a financial genius. We even could buy New Zealand. They only have a measly $360 billion GDP. I mean, come on Kiwis, get a better business strategy. Sell some sheep or something. Hell, those companies here at home could build 7 of their suburban rail loops. Take notes if you want to start crushing the markets like me. Back to you, Robin.
Savvy advice. Now, let's check out the local dating scene to see how people are faring. Oh, hey Liz. Well, it kind of feels like the dating pool is a little dry right now, and when the pool is dry, so am I. We all know how important it is to stay hydrated. So it's time to let love fill my cup. That's a start anyway. But while I'm on the quest for love, it seems like many of my counterparts aren't seeking anything more than my private parts. I swear, people haven't always been this afraid of commitment. I mean, look at old mate Murdoch, getting engaged at the sprightly age of 92. He only met his new fiancée like 6 months ago, but he knew Anne Leslie Smith, a 66-year-old former prison chaplain, would be the perfect 5th wife. He popped the big old question on St. Patrick's Day at his vineyard in California, so perhaps he was hoping a bit of Irish luck would make this marriage last as long as it can. There's nothing more romantic than being someone's 5th wife, especially when they're in their 90s. Everyone in my age range is all just caught up in finding themselves. Anyway, if I don't leave soon, I'm going to be late for my tattoo appointment. Apparently getting the same deeply personal tats as your crush's ex improves your odds of becoming wifey material. Selena Gomez, Justin Bieber's ex, had this G tattoo behind her ear, dedicated to her little sister Gracie. Hailey Baldwin, now Hailey Bieber, mysteriously has the same exact weirdly specific tattoo behind the same ear, but hers is in tribute to her pastor's daughter, not Gracie, of course. Anyway, I'm a little in love with Timothée Chalamet, so I've decided to copy one of his ex's tattoos. I can't really find any of Lily Depp's that I like, so I've decided to get one of Johnny Depp's instead. I'm sure this will work. Here's to being someone's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or even 5th wife. Fair enough. Well, speak of the devil, Rupert Murdoch joins me now. Mr. Murdoch, welcome. Are you really head over heels in love? Is it lovely to know you can still feel this way at 92? Can you still, you know? With your adult children so conscious of the succession plan and the financial carve-up of your empire, is this just an elaborate ruse to get yourself a carer with a watertight Purina? Thanks and congratulations, Mr. Murdoch. The struggle, it's real.